All right, welcome everyone. Hello. It is now 12 p.m. Thank you very much for joining us for our informational webinar about the Interdisciplinary Graduate Diploma in Climate Change in the Faculty of Environment at the University of Waterloo. My name is Christina Pope and I'll be your host for today's session. And I have just a couple of important housekeeping items before we get started. This webinar is being recorded and a recording will be distributed to all registrants about 24 hours after the webinar concludes. And if you require a live transcript of this webinar, you can click the CC button at the bottom of your webinar screen. We're going to start with a short presentation followed by a Q&A segment. For the Q&A segment, as an attendee to the webinar, you're not able to unmute your mic or use your webcam, but we encourage you to ask questions by using the Q&A box on your screen. And if you see a question from someone else that you like, you can upvote other people's questions so we know which ones you would like answered. And we'll be answering questions that are being sent to us live, as well as a selection of pre-submitted questions. And we have a great group of faculty, staff, and alumni joining us today. Dr. Wesley Van Weichen is the director of the Climate Change Programs in the Geography and Environmental Management Department, and that includes the graduate diploma. And Dr. Michelle Martin is the training program specialist in the Waterloo Climate Institute and provides program support and coordination of the program. And a little bit later, we should be joined by Joseph Scarfone, who is a recent graduate of the diploma and can talk a little bit about his experience completing it. All right, I guess it's time to get started. Michelle, take it away.
Unmute myself first. Hi, everybody, and great to be with you today. Thanks for joining the webinar to find out a little bit more about the program. I just wanted to start with a quick land acknowledgement. And I love using this image by Norval Morrisseau, who's was an Anishinaabe painter from Ontario, and really reminds us of our connection to the land and to each other and to all the creatures, and how lucky we are to be able to live and to work in this place. And we work at the University of Waterloo, and here we're on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Neutral peoples, and who've taken care of this land for so many years, but also are here today taking care of the land too, them and their descendants. And I always feel like with this climate change work, and I work as a climate change educator, there's a real opportunity for us to bring this land acknowledgement and also a commitment to reconciliation into play as we, try to learn about the climate and think about what we can do to take action for climate, and also try to do that in collaboration with the Indigenous folks who are working in our communities, and connect, the climate work to biodiversity work and other kinds of community work as well. So we have an opportunity ahead of us, and even in this GDIP, you'll see there might be some connections as well, and opportunities for learning that connect reconciliation with climate change. So we'll give you a little bit of an overview of what we're doing here today. Christina already said this. We'd invite you to introduce yourselves in the chat. Just tell us which grad program you're in, or if you're going to be starting in the fall, which program are you going to be in? We're going to do a little Zoom poll, and then we'll do a presentation with an overview about how the GDIP works, the Graduate Diploma in Climate Change works. And follow up with a Q&A. So go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat as we go along. And now we're going to launch this Zoom poll just to learn a little bit about you, where you're thinking, where you're at. I think Christina's going to do that. So pretty soon you should be able to see there are 3 questions. So the first question is, how do you feel about society's collective capacity right now to deal with climate change? Are you feeling great? We've got it. Hopeful, or kind of on the other end of the spectrum? These things can vary a little bit from day to day and week to week as well. So I think all of you, like me, probably can see the results coming up on the screen, and nobody's feeling super hopeful. Mixed feelings, worried and very worried, and somewhat hopeful. So I'd say that's pretty reflective of many young people and a lot of the students at Waterloo feeling like this. And even this reflects the results of a lot of surveys that have been done in Canada and internationally, where people are feeling worried, but maybe have some sense of hope as well that something can be done. And maybe this is part of what's driving your interest in taking this GDIP. And we do hope that the GDIP, the part of the idea is to help give students some agency to meet each other from other departments and also to learn more about how they can take action and integrate climate change into their discipline. Okay, the second question is, I don't know if I can scroll down on it. Does your grad work address climate change? Okay, also a mixed bag. So if you can see the results as well, you'll see that it's like for some of you, it's no, not at all. And then some people are, it's yes, it's very focused on it, or you're not sure yet. It's all good. And part of the reason for having this GDIP is also to accommodate those people, no, not at all. Like maybe it just doesn't fit in, or your supervisor isn't, it's just not the focus of the research or the work that you're doing, and you still want to get the climate angle. And so this will suit you. And if you're doing something that is more climate focused, it'll suit you as well, we hope. And home faculties, I can see that from those of you that are here, 9 out of 20 from environment, some from engineering, health, math. Nobody from science here today, but we do have some science students who are also enrolled in the GDIP. And it is meant to be a program for all of the different faculties at University of Waterloo. So everybody's welcome. It can fit with any program, almost any program. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll here. Oh, sorry. I was hoping that you could see the results. Okay, so if you want to just have a quick look, you can see what other people have said here.
And Michelle, sorry, some people are mentioning that they can't see the chat, but they can see the Q&A box. So I'm looking to enable the chat box for the
Okay.
attendees. I apologize, but in the meantime, thank you for filling out the poll.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. And we can move to the next slide. Thanks everybody for participating in the poll. Okay, so let's dive into this climate change graduate diploma. Why did we start this thing up? It started last year. The idea was to give all grad students from across campus a chance to pursue their interest in climate change, and whether it's linked to the research or not. And we wanted it to be interdisciplinary to better prepare people for careers and give people opportunities as well to meet students from other programs and become part of a community, which is not just of students, it's also of alumni, also staff members and faculty members. There are lots of people across campus at University of Waterloo that are really passionate about climate change, climate action. And so it's a chance to bring people together for this. So a quick note, anybody who's doing a master's of climate change or the diploma in climate risk management are not eligible to do the GDIP. It's because they are so climate focused in and of themselves. So but for anybody else, any other master's program, any other PhD program are eligible to do it. So we can go to the next slide. So there are some requirements for a type 2 grad diploma, and a type 2 grad diploma is something that is through the Ontario Ministry of Education. So there's certain requirements for it. The idea is somebody is in a grad program, they're registered at a university, and they take this type 2 grad diploma alongside their degree. And the idea is to demonstrate mastery of an area that maybe additional complementary to their primary area of study. It's supposed to be interdisciplinary. You take it alongside your regular program within the normal timeframe of study. And for full-time students, it's included in the regular tuition fees. For part-time students who pay by course, you have to take 2 extra courses for this grad diploma, and you would actually have to pay the tuition for those. But for folks who are taking it full-time, it's included in your tuition, but you have to do it by the time you finish your master's. So for people who are on a 1-year master's program, it's pretty tight. You've got to squeeze these extra courses in while you're registered in your 1-year master's program. And at the end of it, the grad diploma is recognized on the student's transcript, and you get a diploma provided to you at graduation as well. So, and there is, by the way, a type 1 and a type 3 diploma. They're a little bit different. So for this particular GDIP, the structure of the program that we established is that you take 2 courses. This is above and beyond your regular courses that you have to take for your master's or PhD. And you also do a networking milestone. So you take a foundation course. So everybody has to take that course. It's an in-person course, and it's there for the breadth requirement of a GDIP. And I'll go into each of these in a little bit more detail, but basically that foundation course, it's in person on campus here, and the idea is to give people a chance to meet each other and work together, and it's a seminar type of course. So right now it's offered in the fall, and it's going to be on Tuesdays in the fall. I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a sec. Okay, so the second requirement is an elective course, and we have a list of approved elective courses. The elective has to be from outside your field of study, preferably outside of your faculty. But for those of you who are within the Faculty of Environment, a lot of the electives are in the Faculty of Environment, so you just find something that's outside of your discipline in there. And some of these are online, some of them are in person, it depends. But they need to count as a graduate credit. So the other thing is there are sometimes 4th-year courses that can count as a graduate credit, may have a graduate course code. And if it's focused on climate change to provide that depth requirement, then it could be done. So we have a list, but there are also possibility of suggesting something or finding something that's not on our pre-approved list that this still might work. Okay, and the third requirement is this networking milestone. And basically, over the course of your degree, from the time you start the program to the time you graduate and finish the GDIP, you have to participate in 4 different networking events. And so this is basically like another course, the equivalent of another course. So those networking events and experiences could include a number of different possibilities. Some of them, we use the Learn platform, and I usually post things that are no-brainers, like they definitely will count towards networking. Sometimes students suggest things, or they reach out and then they ask if something might count. So everything has to be approved by the program director, because sometimes some events are, they're not long enough or they're not climate-y enough. Okay, so that's the overview of the structure. 2 courses and a networking milestone. You finish all of that, and that means you've completed the GDIP. So let's just look a little bit more at this foundation course. GMCC 605 is the course code, and this fall it's going to be offered Tuesdays from 11:30 a.m. to 2:20 p.m. here on campus in Hagee Hall. So the idea of this foundation course is that no matter which background you're coming from, with 0 climate background, or you may have a pretty solid climate background, it's to ensure that everybody's got this foundational climate literacy. If you already have a pretty solid climate science background, you can kind of test yourself and do that. If you don't really have a climate science background, you can follow this self-assessment, and there's some materials available on Learn to be able to do that, to make sure that you've got that basic climate science, because most of the course, it's a seminar. It focuses on different themes and research topics. It's very interactive, guest lectures from people, the students themselves presenting as well. Maybe Joseph will tell us a little bit more about how this course was when we went. So the assessment, it's like a seminar, basically. So that's the foundation course. So everybody has to take that. It's only offered in the fall. It's in person. And this one is a non-negotiable one. Okay, that's the foundation course. The second required course is this elective. So here's our pre-approved list, and you can see from this list the GEM-CC course codes, those are all in the Faculty of Environment, Geography and Environmental Management. We have a lot of climate change courses. Some are online, some are in person, and that's because of the Masters of Climate Change and that other grad diploma and climate risk management. So because of those, the Faculty of Environment has developed a lot of climate-focused courses. But you can see that they're from many, many different disciplines. Like some are more climate science, some are more focused on, there's one on health, there's one on planning, there's one on accounting and economics. So so different different things that might be interesting and useful to people. And a few are also from outside of the Faculty of Environment, and we're currently in the process of searching for more grad courses from the other faculties that are focused on climate change that we can add to this list. But this is our list for now. And when you sign up for the GDIP, if some of you may have already done it, you'll see that you indicate an elective course that you'd like to take. But this is just indicative. You can change that. And again, new courses are being introduced all the time. You might find one before we do. So reach out, let us know. We'll have a look at it and we'll add it to our list and let other people know as well that it's possible to take. I see there's a question in the chat about the session being recorded. You might, yeah, okay, it is being recorded and it will be shared with people afterwards. Okay, let's go to the networking milestone. So this one's a little bit different if people may or may not have had a networking milestone as part of a course that they've taken before. So basically, you have to undertake 4 experiences, and the types of things that could be included are like maybe you attend a climate conference. It could be on campus, could be international, could be in town, it could be, online, it could be in person. But if it's climate focused and gives you an opportunity to interact with other people, especially if it's interdisciplinary as well, that kind of thing can count. Participation in a workshop, not just like a half-hour workshop, but maybe like a half-day or one-day event. Community volunteering, which could be here in town, it could be on campus. So the volunteering, it's not just a half-hour one-off. Again, it's more that for that the experience would be more of a commitment, say over the course of a semester or the year where you're volunteering. Like let's say we haven't sort of specified the number of hours. You just reach out and you check with us to see if your idea for the networking milestone will count. So these are just some examples, okay? So for each of these 4 different experiences, you complete a reflection. And we've provided a template, which is available in the Learn platform. And you just fill in this template and you let us know, what did you learn? Who did you meet? Who did you talk to? If you got any ideas that might influence your research. So it's a guided reflection, and people can use that template to try to capture what they've done. And you submit it and learn. So we need 4 of those. And once you've completed those 4 reflections, one of us checks them over. It'll probably be Professor Van Wychen who will be doing that. And then you're done with the milestone. So you could actually, even if there's a lot going on campus or in town in the fall, you could actually complete all 4 experiences and complete your networking milestone in one semester. Or you can stretch it out over a year or over the full 4 years of your PhD if you wanted to. Okay, and then here's some examples of types of events that we've had on campus. That top left one was a half-day workshop on climate change and health. We also had a student climate conference last year, and then we've had other gardening things, sometimes in collaboration with other groups on campus as well. So these types of things, and a lot of these, we can go to the next slide, Christina. A lot of these events are organized by the Waterloo Climate Institute, where I work. The Climate Institute's the focal point for climate change research, education, training at the University of Waterloo, and we work with all 6 faculties. And we host events for students, staff, for faculty members, and sometimes they're just student focused. So I post all of those opportunities in the Learn platform to let students know that these events are happening. They count towards your networking milestone, or sometimes I post things that are too short. They can't count towards your networking milestone, but they might still be interesting events for you, places to go and meet other students. And I think one thing that we can do this year as well is to just organize some informal brown bag, bring your lunch and let's meet together. If people want to just have other opportunities to meet up with other students in the GDEP, the Climate Institute can help organize that. I'm just ignoring the chat for now. I think when we get to the Q&A section, we'll get to that bit. Okay, so we have set up a Learn platform for the GDIP program. It's called the Interdisciplinary Climate Change Community. And if you've taken courses basically at any university or Waterloo, it's Brightspace. Basically, it's called Learn at University of Waterloo. And it's a bit different from the Learn shell that you use for your courses because those end at the end of the semester. Once we add you to this platform, you're in there until you graduate or until you tell us, let's say you need to leave the program or whatever, something happens, but you're in there for the extent until we remove you. So it carries on. And we use this to post announcements, we add things to the calendar, and there's also a discussion forum there as well. And this is also the place where you submit your networking experiences. There's a Dropbox there that you can use, and the template is provided too. And so we don't need to go through that right now, but like on the content, like with your other courses, content, there's information there about the GDIP. So some of the stuff we're covering right here in the webinar, like an explanation about the electives, about the networking milestone, how that works, what you need to do when you're ready to graduate. All that information can be found on the Learn platform. And from time to time, I email students too. Like if there's something urgent that we want you to know, I'll send an email. But most of the time, we use this Learn platform to post information for students. So it's important to check into it from time to time and have a look at the calendar, check out the announcements, maybe sign up to get notifications when there's an announcement. I really try not to bombard people with too much. I probably post things on there once or maybe twice a month. Okay. Okay, and then just maybe this is helpful for some people just to understand like how your schedule might work. For people who are in a one-year master's program, you got to be pretty organized to do this climate change grad diploma because you only have 1 year to do it. So definitely in the fall, like for instance, this fall, plan to take the foundation course, GEM-CC 605, that's the course code. If you're just starting your master's in the fall, probably you're going to have some other courses you need to take. So you need to take that foundation course and then maybe plan to take your elective for the GDIP in the winter, but you could take it in the spring, the next year. You have to look at the schedule too, because not everything is offered every semester. So you'll take that winter, take a course in the winter and then all year long participate in experiences to earn your milestone. So that it doesn't have to be like that. In the fall, conceivably, you could take the foundation course and also take an elective course if that worked out for you. Okay, so that's an example. If you've got a 2 years master program, you've got a little more flexibility. Like ideally, you take the foundation course in this fall in your first semester, but you could, if you needed to, take it next year. So you don't have to take the elective after you take the foundation course. You take them when they fit into your schedule and when the elective course is actually available. And then you've got 2 years to work on your milestone, but you can do it faster if you want to. If you're in a PhD program, you've got loads of time. But ideally, you take that foundation course, if you can do it and take it in year 1, it would be better because then you become part of the community, you'll meet people and you'll feel a little bit more like you're part of it. But you do have the flexibility, you could take it next fall or the fall after, and you can do that elective course at any time that it fits in with your program, and you've got loads of time to work on the networking milestone. You can do more than 4 experiences also if you want to, of course. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to hand it over to Joseph, who just finished his master's and was part of that very first cohort because the GDIP program was only launched last fall. Joseph, it'd be great to hear from you and your experience. How did it go? What did you like?
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me join this year. Hopefully the audio is working right. I had to rejoin. Can you hear me good? Or?
A little choppy.
Hopefully this is better. But it's great to join and to talk about the program. Like, I joined in from the Faculty of Environment, where I was doing Masters in Sustainability Management. But I'd say like the first cohort that we had, like a lot of students were also outside of environment, so you don't have to be in environment to join. And I think the program is designed to be very flexible, like to fit around different course like schedules and different programs, and they want you to succeed in it. It could sound like a lot when you're looking to sign up for it, thinking like, how am I going to fit in these 4 networking milestones or these extra courses? But like Michelle and Scott and Leslie all want you to succeed in the program and try to make it as flexible as possible. For me, I was fortunate to join a few like networking opportunities that Michelle shared in our Learn program when I was in the like Learn group, and that included the Good Exchange in Toronto conference, which was this like big kind of like investor and accounting conference that had like a free volunteer opportunity to join. And I wouldn't have known about that if it weren't for Michelle. And I think just to sign up for that conference, it cost over $1,000 if you were not volunteering. So I think it was really, really nice that was kind of like one of these like free opportunities that came up through this program that kind of like change year to year. And like I wouldn't have joined otherwise. And it's also really good as a way to broaden the courses that you take. Like for my home master's, we only have two electives that we normally take, and then we go right into research. So it was nice having this chance to take a couple extra courses throughout my master's that broadened my experience. Like for the electives that I took, I did like a management science engineering course that's offered in the summer. So I'm not sure if Jada McMorley still is teaching it this summer or not, or in future summers, but that was a really interesting, like kind of almost like a reading course and seminar course. There was around 7 students in the course, and I was the only non-engineering student in it. So I learned a lot and met a whole bunch of students that I wouldn't have met otherwise in my home program, including some PhD students that I still see at grad house after or other places. And these are people that weren't even part of the GDIP program, but we're just kind of like another way of expanding your network within Waterloo and expanding like the kind of like friendships and other people you see on campus. And the cohort itself is also really like good. Like we bonded quite well in the first course that we had, and we since like have met at grad house a couple of times. We met at the Waterloo Climate Institute conference they have at the end of the year, and or even like supporting each other in our like thesis defenses for people doing research, like master's and research PhD. So there's a lot of like really good benefits of joining the program, and I'm happy that it was something that was open that I could join in the year that I was.
That's great. Thank you so much, Joseph. And it's good to hear from a student who did it. And Joseph, one thing I appreciate about you is I know you tried to use the discussion forum quite actively as well in the Learn shell, in the Learn platform. And not all the students used that or took advantage of that. But that's another way for people to be able to connect with each other as well, and to share some of what they're, what they did for the networking milestones, or even share opportunities for networking as well if they come across ideas.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities that you wouldn't know about otherwise if it weren't for that learn group, and including from other students as well. Like I remember Lisa was sharing some and it as well, like that where like maybe there's an opportunity where you're thinking like, well, that would be interesting to go, but I don't want to go alone, or I don't know anyone else that's going. And then you'll see it through there that there's 3 other people that are going to it, but to the same one. So I think the speaker series, I didn't actually end up going to that one, but I remember Lisa kind of organized it where about 3 or 4 people came together before, and they met kind of on campus, like for dinner, and then they joined like a speaker series that was happening at the university. And this was, I think that was in September, so it was kind of before we got to know each other that like really well. But it's kind of one of those things where like there's a lot of things that you can do at the university, but maybe you're thinking like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that alone, right? Like when you're a new student or something. And it's good having this kind of community where everyone's interested in the same thing, and even though we all have different programs, like we can go to those things together. So that's a good point.
That's great, thanks. And I see some people are commenting about like that foundation course, climate change in society, and it's too bad it's not online, and it is, but that would be a different thing too. And I think part of the idea of that is to start to create that community in person. I mean, you can pick up, people can connect online as well, but that connection is an important part of this program.
Yeah, and if I could talk about that course, I know sometimes people are thinking like, oh, that's going to be a lot of extra work, and it is definitely like some extra work, but the course is designed to be really interactive. Like if you look at the assessments on it, and I'm sure if you go to the outlined Waterloo website, you can see it there. Like there's kind of like a final project that you do like a write up on, and it's only a few thousand words. Like I think it's around 1,500 to 3,000 words, and if you're doing a research like master's or PhD, like I use that section as part of my final thesis when I wrote up to submit it. So you can kind of repurpose that, and then the other projects in the course are mini presentations where you typically pair up with another student. So it's not like you're having a lot of like tests and you have to memorize things for it. It's more like you get in what you put into it, kind of a class where it's a seminar, like Michelle said, it's presentation based. And there's this final like write up thing where you can choose any topic you want to write about. It doesn't have to be something from the course. So it's designed to be really flexible, like to everyone in the course, and that's what made it really interesting. So you also present your final paper at the end, and we had people from like engineering and sciences where I learned a whole bunch of things that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. Like I did accounting for mine, so I'm kind of like research in accounting, so maybe I had the more boring presentation, quote unquote. But you know, it's also interesting because people didn't know about some of the accounting rules when greenhouse gas stuff prior to that course, and where they can learn from me, and I can learn about like how climate change is impacting health, like specifically to people in Ontario, rather than that otherwise. So it's designed to be a really flexible course.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Joseph. It was really great to have you join us for this. So let's just move on. We're almost finished here with the just a little more info about the supports available to you. Like, so we have Christina introduced all of us, some of us in the beginning. So we've got Professor Wes Van Wychen. He's here on the call as well. So he's the program director for this grad diploma, as well as the other climate change programs in the Faculty of Environment. The course instructor for the foundation course is Professor Dan Scott. And you'll meet all of him when you take the course in the fall. I'm available to support you as well. Lots of students email me, share ideas for networking, or you can reach out to me or to Professor Van Wychen. If you want some advice on networking or eligible courses as well, you can get in touch with me too. You could pop by and visit me. I'm in EV3. And then you also have your supervisor, a grad program coordinator, and it is a great idea to get their go-ahead for you to enroll in the GDEP. Like, let them know that you're hoping to do this. And I see there are some questions in the chat about, rules about how many courses you can take at a time, limits to that. So your supervisor, grad program coordinator, will let you know about that as well if there are limits in your program. I don't know if they're university-wide limits. So those are your resource people available to help you. And then, of course, there are the professors of the elective courses as well. So how do you apply for it? Some of you on the call may have already registered for the program. And if not, there's a QR code, or you can just search online. You'll find the Interdisciplinary Grad Diploma in Climate Change. So it's just a very simple form to fill in to register. And the form, we ask you to provide the name of your supervisor or program director. I don't think in the form it requires their approval, but so maybe have a chat with them first before you register, just to make sure they're on board with it. Okay, and then yeah, and it's just a very simple form that you fill in. You just provide a bit of information, and then once you register, you will get an email back from Teresa Wilson. So we can go to the next slide. I think, oh, do I have another? No. Oh, actually, go back. Sorry, Christina. Once you apply, you'll get an email from Teresa. She copies me, and then I add you to the Learn platform, and then I guess you'll get an email from them, or if you go into Learn, you'll just see the Interdisciplinary Grad Diploma, the Interdisciplinary Climate Change Community, and things should roll from there. Okay, so it's a very straightforward process. It's not something that you have to like apply for in the sense you just enroll basically, and if you need to unenroll afterwards, if you've realized you've bitten off more than you can chew, there's no rigmarole, no bureaucracy. You just let us know. I just realized I can't do this. I'm not going to make it. It's too much for my schedule, and you can just let us know, and we'll just remove you from the program. Okay. We can go to the next one now. So we compiled a list of frequently asked questions, and some of them are kind of in the chat as well. And Wes, I don't know if you want to, and I'll just sort of start addressing these. And if you want to, there might be some of the questions in the chat you want to address. But so this question comes up a lot, if they can complete the GDIP remotely. Basically the answer is yes, except for the foundation course, because there are enough electives that are online that you probably would find something that's outside of your discipline that could work for you with your schedule. But that foundation course is in person in the fall. Okay, so kind of is the answer to that first question. Is there a specific amount of time? It's just, you just have to have everything finished by the time you're ready to graduate. We have had questions during the year from students, who were basically wrapped up and ready to graduate by the spring semester, and then could they take the foundation course or take something else in the fall? So the answer to that is no. If you're ready to graduate, you should have everything done by that time. Questions about internships or co-op opportunities. I mean, basically not co-op, nothing formal through the university, but so there's no requirement for that. And even for the networking milestone, it would be great if some of you chose to do some volunteer work to earn one of your networking experiences, but it's not a requirement. So you could fulfill your networking experiences just by attending events, if you wanted to. You don't have to be a full-time student. You can be part-time or full-time, but then you have the tricky little thing about the tuition. Okay, so if you're a full-time student and you pay by the semester, it's free. It's included in your tuition. If you're a part-time student and you pay tuition by semester, it's also free, but then you have to stick to your course limits. And if you're a part-time student and you take courses, or even full-time student and you pay by the course, for your regular program, you're going to have to pay for the 2 courses. You won't have to pay anything extra for the networking milestone. The question about the foundation course, that comes up a lot too. So right now, we're just still planning to offer it in the fall as an in-person option. But, I suppose if we get more people eventually for the GDIP, right now the numbers are perfect for just offering it in the fall once, but things could change down the road. But right now, for all of you, that's the way it works. It's in person in the fall. Can the elective course be? But by the way, I want to just mention that foundation course. What's happened before is sometimes people have to go away for a couple of weeks, maybe to do some field work, 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. So you can connect with the professor, Daniel Scott, to, if you need to be away and make arrangements. So I think that there were 1 or 2 students that had to do that last year. And so that's a possibility. The elective courses can definitely be changed after. You don't have to stick to what you indicate in the enrollment. The courses cannot count towards your grad degree. Okay, so these have to be the 2 courses you take for the GDIP have to be above and beyond the courses that you need for your grad degree. So your grad degree, you may have like required courses and some electives. These courses that you're taking for this cannot be your electives. Okay, that's double dipping, and that won't work, and that'll catch up to you when it comes time to graduate. And things that qualify for the networking milestone, I think we've given a little bit of an indication, and there's lots of information in Learn as well for that one. So maybe we can go to the more open-ended Q&A session segment of the program now. Christina, you want to dive back in?
Yes. We've been getting lots of questions through the chat and the Q&A box. So thank you so much for participating. And some of the questions we've already answered, and I'll just do my best to look through both of the boxes at the same time. So one person was curious whether or not the foundation course is a prerequisite for the electives.
No. Or maybe Wes wants to say more about that.
Not really. I mean, there would be, I suspect, material that you will learn in GEM-CC 605 that would be useful for many of the electives courses, but you do not necessarily have to take it before you take it.
Excellent. And I think this question was already addressed, but someone was curious about the number of courses that we can take per semester. I think they said that it's 3 courses per term, but I imagine that might be a department or a faculty specific question, correct?
I would say for that question, it would be best to speak to your graduate officer within your home department to see what the rules are for your specific program, because it does vary depending on the program that you are in and across the university.
Excellent. Um, Someone was curious if it's possible to join after completing 1 or 2 terms of the master's program. Like if they're in a 2-year master's program, it seemed like based on the schedules that sample schedules that you created, Michelle, that it is still possible for someone to complete the diploma in their second half of their master's. It just seems like they have to work really quickly to get it done before they graduate, correct?
Yes, like that should be possible. What I would encourage people, well, I would encourage everyone to speak with their supervisor. If you're going to do it in the second half of your master's, that is typically a busier time. So just make sure that you've got time to complete your own program, a thesis possibly, and then also take on the networking GEM-CC 6.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So in an ideal scenario, what would you say what would you suggest in terms of timeline for people to complete it? Like it is possible in 1 year, and obviously the more time that you have in the program, the more flexible and the more spread out it is to complete, basically. So possible within 1 year, but easier the longer your program is, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the longer you have in the program, the just more time that you have to get these milestones completed and to fit GEM-CC 605 into your schedule. You can certainly do it in 1 year and take your elective in 1 year, assuming that you don't have any conflicts with GEM-CC and a required course that you might need in your first semester of a 1-year program. But you certainly can do it. It's just the more time you have, the more flexibility.
Someone is in a part-time program or a 3-year master's program, and they've completed some milestones previously. Is it possible for them to enroll in the climate change diploma and have their previous climate change related networking opportunities count towards this diploma?
Maybe, but I would be tentative. It would probably involve a conversation between myself and the person enrolled in the program to discuss what those actual networking opportunities were in detail before I could properly assess whether they would count as kind of before you were enrolled or not. But I would generally say probably no. You want to be enrolled in the program and doing the networking opportunities.
And if I can add to that too, we did allow a little bit of that last year because some people were already in, say, the last year of their PhD and had done something the year before. But it was on a case-by-case basis, and the program director had to approve those things. There's enough going on around town, and you know what I mean? There's a lot going on. Like once you start looking for networking experiences and opportunities, you'll find that there's a lot going on. So you don't really need to recycle old things.
Yeah, I would say that's my major sentiment is like it should be after you've actually formally.
And is there a cap on which term you can enroll? So there, like, if someone is a PhD student, is it okay if they enroll in their final year of their program as long as they get the requirements done?
No, if you can fit it in, you can enroll. Again, in the final year of a PhD, you might find yourself very busy when your PhD finished. But again, if it falls within the timelines that you have left, I don't think there's a problem.
And for someone that's who's really busy in the fall, is there any restrictions with starting the diploma in the winter? And then like potentially starting with networking opportunities and then taking like an elective course and then taking the foundation, or is it the foundation always has to be something that they do first?
No, I mean, you can start doing that if you enroll, I probably wouldn't recommend that necessarily, but it is, I think, possible. But again, what I would, if you're interested in that situation, I would suggest reaching out to me as program director first, talk about approaching the networking opportunities, so that we can have a full discussion about it before just kind of plowing ahead and doing them and then coming to me.
All right, sounds good. And we've already answered, some people have been asking questions about whether or not the foundation course is going to be offered in another term, and it sounds like we've already answered that. So just, I guess it's just based on demand and how many other people enroll in the diploma. So if a lot of you enroll in the diploma, then there might be additional opportunities for it to be offered. Someone asked whether or not the slide deck could be shared with them. Michelle, is there any issues with that when I distribute the recording? Not a problem. Okay, so I will distribute a link to the recording as well as a PDF version of the slide deck for all of the registrants, so that's definitely not a problem. And someone asked if the LEED certification can be counted towards a milestone requirement. Maybe if you wanted to discuss maybe some of the some examples of maybe outside campus opportunities that you've counted as milestone requirements in the past, or whether or not someone's taken a LEED certification in the past and that's counted as a milestone requirement.
Michelle, maybe I can let you handle that one because you've been involved with that more than I have.
Yeah, and well, we didn't come across that LEED certification, but it depends also if it's something that you do on your own or if it's like a participatory thing. So the whole point of the networking milestone is that you're networking and interacting with other people, which could be online, it could be in person, and also networking in an interdisciplinary way. So if you're doing LEED certification, it's just all with a bunch of engineers, and you never have a chance to meet each other, I'd say no, that one wouldn't count. But if it was something that was you've been attending courses and maybe it's planners, it's engineers, it's different types of people, then it would count. And in terms of examples of events that we had, so on campus here, we had our student climate conference over the last 2 years. The Climate Institute is organized. I don't think we're going to have one this coming year. But we organize workshops and things too. And sometimes we have speakers, and I think we've got a couple speakers lined up in the fall. And when we have a speaker, then we'll like before and or afterwards, we'll have opportunities for meeting the speaker, meeting with other people, or have, some snacks and be able to interact with other people and attend the lecture and participate in the discussion afterwards. So those are events that are organized on campus. Things that are off campus, like one thing that I've suggested recently to students, there's a group called the Waterloo Region Climate Collaborative that bring together all the different community climate action types of groups in Waterloo Region. And they are looking for volunteers, they have events. So as long as you could participate in an event that's organized by one of the members of the Waterloo Region Climate Collaborative, as long as it's not just like a 1 hour thing. Maybe there's a day event, you're volunteering, you're meeting tons of people, that would count. Or volunteering for one of the organizations over the course of a year would be something that would count if you're doing climate related work. It could be climate outreach, it could be climate, like helping them with with a study of some kind, or, the organizations that belong to that collective are doing all kinds of different climate work. And they include also REAP Green Solutions and Sustainable Waterloo Region that are two very well-known non-governmental organizations here in Waterloo region. So they often take lots of volunteers too, and there are others in town. So those are some examples. But sometimes on campus we have events that are just short, that like maybe it's a lecture and there's a little Q&A afterwards. So those are examples of things that don't count for the networking milestone because it's only an hour and a half long and you don't really get a chance to talk to anybody, if that helps. When you get in the Learn, you'll be able to see if you do join the GDIP, there are lots of examples and a bit more of a description.
And just related to the networking opportunities, I would say like there are a lot of things that are already pre-vetted that are announced to the students in the program already. But if you want to do something different than that, then reach out to me beforehand to get that approved or at least start a discussion about whether it's going to count or not, because it's much better to have that conversation before you do it and submit something, and then I send it back to you and say, this actually is not your networking. So let's have that conversation beforehand rather than it being reactive.
Excellent. It looks like we have just one more question that hasn't been answered, and it's if for someone who's trying to figure out different avenues to how to do interdisciplinary research with climate change. Like, for example, if there's a computer science angle to a climate research problem outside of the diploma, who can they reach out to?
So this is like specifically who, like a faculty member to reach out to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. It's so they didn't put anything else on, so feel free to continue writing if you want to describe it a little bit more. But my guess is that if they're trying to integrate climate research into their graduate degree, the first person, my suggestion would be like their supervisor, correct?
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
and then jumping off from there. So if it's something outside of the diploma, if they have a passion for climate change, that would be the first point of contact.
One place to look
Yeah, and so
oh, sorry, do you want to go ahead first?
well, I was going to say as a resource that you can go to, and this might be what you were going to say, Michelle, is look at all the researchers associated with the Waterloo Climate Institute,
Yes.
because there's a whole list of researchers there that are actually affiliated with the Institute, and it gives a link or at least an idea of their research. So if you are looking for someone in kind of computing and climate change, I'm sure that person exists on campus. But look to there to see the different profiles and see what people are up to. That would be, I would say, your best avenue at the start.
And what I've learned is that there are actually so many faculty members across campus from different departments that are very passionate about climate and even doing climate research or integrating climate in their teaching, but they're not actually a member of the Climate Institute yet too.
Mm-hmm.
So really just talking to people. So if you're in computer engineering, just ask around, but definitely starting with the Climate Institute list, because we have profs in most departments, I'd say. Especially, we have many in engineering from across departments, faculty of environment, but we have them in all of the faculties. And so you could also reach out to one of them and see if there are any colleagues that are a bit more in the field that you're interested in.
All right. So we have one more question, but I think we've already answered it, and it's whether or not someone can enroll in the winter for the program. And yes, they can enroll in the winter, and then they can start it and then take the foundation course in the fall. So definitely possible.
And so people can enroll at any time, halfway through a semester, because it's not like I mean, it's an academic program, but because it's a rolling program, so you can join at any time and then sit there for a little while, look at things and, see what other people are doing and then take the GEMCC course as well. Yeah.
Excellent. And that was the last of our questions. And that's great because we're coming up on 1 p.m. So this has been a great opportunity for us to learn a little bit about you and what you're hoping to get out of the program. And once you're registered, we just had one more question. So once you're registered, how long until you get a communication from Michelle, you or Teresa? If someone fills in the form, when should they hear back?
I think I'm not sure what Teresa's turnaround time is, but I would say probably within days or maximum a week, that you would hear back almost right away. And then I try to add people to learn like within a day when I get the notification, or even right away.
Excellent. All right. So if people fill out the form, which I will include a link to the enrollment form in the email as well that I send out. You should hear from us and be added to the Learn site very soon, and you can get started. So thank you very much for participating in the webinar today and asking your questions and getting to know more about the Interdisciplinary Graduate Diploma in Climate Change. And we hope to see you in the foundation course at the networking opportunities and learning more about how you can integrate climate change into your research.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everyone.